Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Kennedy Baptist College. As Principal of Kennedy, my name's Mark Ashby, and it's my privilege to welcome you here this morning. Based on the atmosphere and all the catch-ups so far, I feel the speech that I've written for this morning is far too formal for today, but it's wonderful to have you here and to join in our celebrations for the 30th anniversary of the founding of the colleges. So can I say good morning again, welcome to this significant occasion, the 30th anniversary of the founding of Winthrop Baptist College, Somerville Baptist College, and Kennedy Baptist College. It's my pleasure to formally welcome you all here today. And as we start this morning, I wanted to acknowledge that Kennedy is situated on the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people. And I pay my respect to their enduring and dynamic culture and the leadership of Noongar elders, past and present. It is with pride today that we gather here to celebrate 3 decades of dedication, excellence, and commitment to Christian education that has shaped thousands of lives in our community. And everyone here is testament to that. So we thank you for joining us today. But also today we honour the hard work, sacrifice and vision of those who came before us. And it's a privilege to acknowledge the immense contributions made by former staff and board members who laid the foundation on which we work today. Your unwavering commitment to Christian education, your passion for sharing the gospel, and your relentless pursuit of contributing to this community have left an indelible mark in our history. To all of you, we say thank you. To the alumni, ex-students of Winthrop Baptist College and Somerville Baptist College, welcome back. Your achievements and successes in the wider community are testament to the quality of education and the values that have been instilled during your time in those colleges. And you've carried those spirits of the values of your colleges into your careers, the communities, and families. And we know everyone is proud of what you have achieved. As we reflect on the past, it's also essential to remember that Kennedy Baptist College is built upon the legacy of Winthrop and Somerville. It's the visionaries, the educators, the students and the community who believed in the transformative power of Christian education and who worked tirelessly to bring it to life. Their efforts have not only shaped our college, but have also contributed to the broader landscape of education in this region. We know the journey of the past 30 years has been one of growth, learning, resilience, and from humble beginnings, we have grown into a vibrant and dynamic community that continues to inspire and nurture future generations. And at Kennedy, our commitment to academic excellence, holistic development, sharing our Christian faith, and fostering a sense of belonging remains as strong as ever. And the foundation laid by our predecessors gives us the strength and confidence to embrace new challenges and opportunities as they come up. So together, we continue to uphold the college values, and our values are faith, integrity, growth, boldness, and service. And it defines what we have here and for the future. I would like to express our gratitude to each and every one of you, to our former board members, staff, and alumni. Thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and unwavering belief in the mission of sharing the Christian faith through excellence in education. Thank you for contributing to 30 years of distinction and to continued growth, achievement, and success. And today we will continue to make Kennedy a beacon of hope for the future as well. So thank you for joining us today. Let's have a look at some of the past. Thanks. Okay, thank you to our marketing team for putting that together. There was a lot of research, hours spent in the dungeon, as we call it, below the stairs here, finding all that to use today. So thank you to those guys. It's my privilege to introduce the Foundation Principal of Winthrop Baptist College, Mike Smith, and the Foundation Principal of Somerville Baptist College, Tracy Holmes, to the stage. We thought we'd spend some time doing a Q&A, just some questions to have a discussion about those foundation years. So welcome to the stage, guys. So I've got a number of questions to ask these guys, and I think there's probably quite a few people who would like to ask you some questions, Mike. But we'll just stick to the script, and I'll ask some questions that we thought were relevant to today, and Mike and Tracy will have some input. I'll have some input related to Kennedy as well, which I wasn't planning, but last Saturday I got a text from Mike saying if I don't, he wasn't going to come along this morning. So I'll add a Kennedy perspective as well. So the first question, can you share the original faith and the mission, the vision and the mission behind the foundation of the colleges and how they guided all the development that took place in the developing years?
Well, first off, it's amazing to see you all here, and it's staggering that it's 30 years that we've been serving God here and in other places with the same type of work being done. So that's exciting, and I get the easy part because they'll only just be repeating what I say. No, the other thing is this last week I've been quite excited to come. Usually I'm not excited to come to functions, because often I have to set them up and it's more nervous of whether it'll work or not. And so it's really good to be here and to see you come voluntarily. You're not on staff. You didn't have to. The board might have had to, but everyone else, this is really a volunteer thing. So first off, it came really from Winthrop Baptist College, where a small church wanted to reach into the community. And John, as a pastor for 16 years, he felt he's only reaching a small percentage of the community. And so 2 other Baptist churches supported him with a new group to set up a Christian school that was open entry. And in WA, that's radical. And a number of people said, you can't be a Christian school if all the children aren't from Christian families. So that was a different mindset. So what we then did was, how do we provide quality education, open entry to the community with committed Christian staff? And that was the vision. And that started at Joondalup, and then once we got started there, we had families down here labelling us, why aren't you doing something there? Why would you do it up there and not down here? Whoa, that was hard enough doing it up there, let alone look at more of that. And then within the structure in the mission was, how do we have students and families come, that teachers can teach, students can learn. Now, compulsory education, that's pretty tricky. Not everyone jumped out of bed to come to school, all right? So how do you do it so that teachers can teach, students can learn, each is respected and cared for, properly respected and cared for, and in this community, probably 75% had no church background. How could they meet the personal God that we know? That was part of that mission as well. And at Joondalup, where we started, 90% no church background. They'd gone to live in the sticks to be unaccountable, and they came to the school and God started tapping on their lives. So that's a little bit what I'd share. Tracy.
Sure. Obviously, Somerville was started on the same vision, and I think what was lovely, there was not a church attached to Winthrop or Somerville, but there was this incredible demand for education and quality education within a safe environment. And certainly when I joined Winthrop, one of the things I loved was this notion of mission, that we're open enrolment, that anyone's welcome. But John used to describe it to me as people used to send their kids to Sunday school, but they don't anymore. But they want a really good education in a safe environment. So we loved that. And certainly with Winthrop, our first open day for students, we took everyone up to Lake Joondalup because there wasn't even a building. So this is your future. With Somerville, we were born just out of demand, and I love that too. It was so successful in terms of the mission and vision that Winthrop was full, and Mike literally had people begging him for places. And Carey Baptist had opened, and it was really hoped that Carey would take up the wait list, but that didn't happen. And so Somerville was born very quickly. It was all done in 6 months. So I'm not sure how we did that, but it was born within 6 months, but it was purely on demand. And so people who signed up were so invested in the vision and mission, and that was both the parents, but also the staff. And for both Winthrop and Somerville, we were saying to people, yes, we'd love to have you join us, but we don't have any buildings, and it'll work out. So it was really brave.
Fantastic. From a Kennedy perspective, coming on board and looking at all the great work that was going on, the decision was made, we need to make sure we continue with that mission, we continue with those values, and I see us very much as the guardians of that mission in continuing for the future. And you're right, we're providing great educational services. People know this is our mission, and they're still queuing up to come along, which is fantastic. Is that enough?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay.
I said it would be harder for him to do it after two of us.
Next one. What significant challenges, Tracy, did the college face in that early history, in those early days?
Okay, for Somerville, that's easy. We didn't have a school. We had no buildings. We had people sign up, and our first school was in the back of the auditorium. By the way, those who were here on staff, we did play cricket up there, indoor and outdoor. We did quite a few things in that open space. But that was our whole school. And so we had what we used to call the cardboard walls, and we had very little resource at all. But again, I'm a firm believer, you don't need stuff, you need great people. And we had great people. So we had a tiny staff, some are here today, where they were highly invested, they were highly committed, and we went for it. And we focused on culture, and our culture was attractive. And a lot of people said, we want to come for who you are. In early days, I think for Somerville, our big tough areas were finance and resource. And one of the things that hasn't been said, when Winthrop started and Somerville started, people put their houses on the line to start the schools. So we're eternally thankful to those people. But we didn't have much. And so, again, we focused on people and we focused on culture. And I think the third thing from that first year is that Somerville kept making the papers. And there was a group of people who didn't want to see Somerville happen. It was so funny that my parents were travelling overseas and their friends would email them and say, Tracy's in the paper again. So there were stories. I think my favourite one that was shared with another friend of mine was that I had embezzled money from Winthrop and was now double dipping on funding to set up Somerville. It actually came from a family where I'd literally worked with the two children to keep them in school, so it was even more ironic. But obviously none of it true. But we had to navigate that space. But again, I would say lack of buildings, lack of finance and resource, and some controversy made people focus on culture and being prayerful and about who we are, not what we had. And I think it helped lay the foundation of Somerville.
Can't remember the question.
Challenges.
Challenges.
Challenges when you started.
Okay, challenges when I started. First was staffing. So I was in a system where often when you rise in leadership, others will follow you. They like what you're doing and they want to be part of it. So I had to leave where I was for 18 years. And the boss I was serving under, she said, are you going to strip the school of staff? I said, no. So for 2 years, my heart was, 92 up to 94, was to pray and fast for staff. And when we advertised, there was myself, we needed 3 others. We had 200 applicants and 40 were committed Christians. So God put that in place. For that year, I only need 3, then 9, 16, that type of thing. And those people prayerfully waited, many of them. And many of them are here today who couldn't get in the first year. They came second, third, fourth, onwards. So that was one. Second one, this site is unique in that it's opposite Bibra Lake. there was deliberate government policy to put no electricity, no water, no gas along Farrington Road. So we had no water, no electricity, no gas to start the school.
And no road.
No what?
Road.
No road. Oh, no road either. But that was Murdoch's responsibility. That was not ours. That was not the government's. So electricity, had to use a generator. So Des and I filled it up every couple of hours. If anyone wasn't saving their work, they lost it when the power went down, if we weren't smart enough. Now, Des was braver than me. The generator was running and he'd fill it up while I was running. Not a hope. I'd turn it off, everyone lose their power, then I'd fill it up. Right, so Des is still alive, so he was just more practical, but mine was safer. I was a chemist. Right, so that was another one. Was the phone lines. We kept being intermittent, and we worked out Telstra had strung it along the fence, and the crows were eating it. They were attacking it. So we then, Des and I, at 6 o'clock in the morning, we dug a trench, dropped the telephone line down, covered it up. The other thing with electricity is, for that first year, one day, we were ahead of everyone in Perth. There was an electricity strike, and we had power. And I tried faxing people, and they wouldn't take the faxes. They had no power. So one day out of 200, we were ahead of the game.
Fantastic. From a Kennedy perspective, the biggest challenge, I think, for us was the merge, obviously. And for two schools that were so close, sharing some resources, it was amazing how different and leadership impacts on culture. And certainly both schools had very different cultures, of which staff were very defensive of as well. So coming together to work now as one was certainly a challenge. Yeah. Okay, next question. Just a couple more, and then morning tea is waiting, so I'm conscious of time. Influential figures. Who were some of the key figures? Could be board, could be people behind the scenes, staff, who played crucial roles in shaping the history of the colleges. I think it's time to name names.
I can't remember them. First off, it's hard to imagine. It was parents in this area. They galvanised us to consider it. And it was invisible. How do you get to Joondalup? The government couldn't even set it up for 10 years, and there was a school there. And they wanted the same. So that was one. The second one, John Smith was the negotiator for this land. He was had to find the finance for every building. And I had two children here at one stage, and my wife would say, "When are you finishing that building?" I said, "As soon as we can, ASAP." But then I had to find other words that meant the same as we waited, and things like that happened. So then you had the board, the first board that was created, had to navigate areas that none of us had been involved in. So they were really important people. And some of you'd find a history of those. But they're important, I guarantee you. But if as soon as I start naming, I'll start forgetting. Staff were critical, influential. And to give you a little illustration, the first couple of years, parents would come and thank me for what was happening. After 2 years, they didn't thank me anymore. They thanked me for the staff that were doing everything. And that's when I knew that's the real thing. The staff were doing things with limited resources, as Tracy mentioned. Somerville had it, we had it. Limited resources, and they powered through. And the kids didn't miss out. And to give you one little glimpse, year 10, the third year of the college, beginning of it, there was 150 8s and 9s, there was 128 year 8s. So 9s and 10s, 128 year 8s. And two of the year 10s grabbed me in the playground, walked down and said, "Why can't we just have what we had in the first year? 3 classrooms." And I said, "No way, no way. There's so much more. you've got to have for your education. And that was just a little bit of a peek. And it's good to see Grant. I didn't recognise you first. And Grant was one of the board members. He was 18. And he said, "How can you ask me?" I said, "Easy." And did he work hard? Did he learn? And he was with others. Their memory's already gone. Tracy.
Okay. Significant people for me, Mike and John were both pivotal. John had the vision, he was working on the finance, but Mike also had the vision and the drive. And I think for staff and leaders, there are many people in the room today who, like myself, are where we are in our career because of these two gentlemen. So we will be always thankful for that and the investment in us. Similarly, board members, we've got board members from the beginning right through to the present, and people who have been here for, I think, 2 meetings, and that's all. But board is so significant in governance and guidance, and I've really appreciated the journey with governance and the feedback that we get, and having those people who really hold the school so carefully and not without risk, but hold that space so well. And the input over time and the sharing of gifts over time has been significant. Our teaching and non-teaching staff were everything in schools such as ours. And so, again, we attracted people who had the same passion. I am one of those self-declared weird people who get really excited about Christian education, and we attracted people who were the same. And that made our culture and made our staff. And again, in the absence of things, they were everything, so really important. And then we had parents who were exactly the same. We had parent advocates out there everywhere. We would have certain clusters of primary schools where most of the people leaving were coming to us because the parents were out there doing the job of marketing. And we had great parents and friends groups, people who are now friends. I still email and catch up with parents from Somerville, which I just love. And then again, we had students who were really significant, students who made impact on the development of the college, and through having some agency, set the trend for future. So it really is a collective effort. But again, I'll go back, it started with Mike and John. And to have that vision, which is now so expansive and so robust, is really quite exceptional.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with what Tracy was saying. The staff who were involved from a Kennedy perspective, where we had 2 different cultures who then had to take on board change and embrace change. And I often talk about leadership is disappointing people at a rate that they can cope with. And that part of that change was huge. And so for us at Kennedy, having staff coming on board and embrace that change was huge. But having the support, and the board had made a decision to merge with the 2 schools, and having the total commitment of the board at the time was huge. And for us to be able to move forward and do what we wanted to do. And for all of those people who are here, we say thank you. Thank you for your support. Last question. Pivotal moments. Can you let's just share some pivotal moments that you thought were huge, important in the history of the colleges. Tracy.
Okay, when we talk about moments at Somerville, I have to mention the phrase Kevin's flood, because those who were here know about it. Those who don't, ask. I think the true milestones for Somerville was its opening and its closing. The opening was with just a small number of people. We'd even bought a school bell to ring on the first day. We hardly used it, but the opening was significant because we had run to the line on that. Staff were moving furniture the night before. We were putting things in place, and getting to that position was huge. As a school, you get to journey with people, and there are many pivotal moments in a school, but I think so many of them are around what we get invited into with people. So we have journeyed with people through celebration, through death, through tragedy, and that's a real privilege. So I'm very aware of that. But I'll just mention the closing, because Somerville did it so well, and a testament to the staff who are here too. We used the school bell on our last day. It was the last moment of Somerville. And we deliberately aimed to finish on a high and with celebration, and our staff did it so well, and our students engaged with it. So we were in this auditorium when it was pink, and we had fun.
Yeah, we changed that very quickly.
Yep. Yep. We had fun, we had celebration. Our last prize night was a whole celebration, and we counted down to the close of Somerville and we rang the bell. So it was our beginning and our end. And by the way, I've got the bell.
Right.
Pivotal moment. We had our first sports carnival, swim carnival, and one of the parents said, 50 students, why would you have a swimming carnival? I said, what happens if we didn't? And the swimming carnival was even very different. There's a model that everyone could be involved. In his phys ed lessons, everyone had been timed for 50 metres, whatever it was, right? And then he put them in heats against similar times. And there was 2 classes, so nobody knew everything. But it was like the Olympics, you have the top, and the para, you have those who struggle. We had them all the way down. Everyone had a chance. Many won medals they'd never even dreamed they were going to win. Now, they didn't know which division they were in. We didn't tell them that. But there it was. We had a carnival with 50 students, swimming carnival. Then we went to inter-school. Inter-school against 7 schools, years 8 to 12. We won the first 3 events and no more for the day. Huh? Now, to win the 3 events, you had to have someone who was very, very good. Ryan Carlson. Got off the bus, coming back, and he said, now I know why we went to the inter-school. I thought I was good. I got a long way to go. So the very best to the weakest of swimmers, and I'd be one of them, it was amazing with 50. And so that continued. 50 students, 150, 300, whatever. We did all the things that a normal school would do, whether we had the resources or not. We did them. And that was critical.
Thank you. From a Kennedy perspective, I wanted to talk about our students as well. When we started Kennedy, we joined the ACC, Southern Association Sports, where inter-school took place every Wednesday afternoon. And to see students in the first year coming together from 2 schools, now putting on a Kennedy jersey and sport uniform to represent Kennedy into a new generation, and that they were committed to, was a turning point for them. That they were now representing us as Kennedy, and it continued. And those students were great. So much so that before we started in the holidays, year 12s or year 11s from Somerville and Winthrop had created a chat group to connect and had some parties or beach time to connect beforehand, which was an amazing initiative for them to take on. But certainly that first time of them running out onto a field or onto a court representing us, for me, I felt this was us moving forward and embracing the future. So that's part of where we started as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us and your insight. So please thank these guys for coming along. To finish up this morning, there's a video of what Kennedy looks like now. When that finishes, please feel free to come out and join us for morning tea. We have got a display of memorabilia from the colleges for people to have a look at. There's also some QR codes if people want to connect and join up to our alumni connections as well. So feel free, and we would encourage you to be part of that. But once again, thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hello Kennedy, my name is Alpha. I have been a trans woman since 2018. You have totally changed my life, and I know that we're a long way from you in Australia, but you're always very near in our heart.